Arrogant Heir kicked a service dog in a hotel lobby. The truth about the handler left him speechless. The Granville looked like old money pretending it didn't have to try. Marble lobby, a chandelier that could have paid off 5 mortgages, and a piano that played itself at dinner. Noah Pierce, 28, coasted through it like he owned the place because, in pieces and percentages, he did. His father's name was on the tower out front. His own was on too many tabs. He was halfway to the bar when the elevator doors opened, and a woman stepped out with a golden retriever at her side. The dog wore a blue vest and walked like a sentence with good punctuation. Steady heel, eyes up, no pulling. The vest patch read, "Service dog, do not distract." Noah didn't read signs, he read rooms. People glanced at him first, not the dog. That was the law of his life. The retriever paused. A family with suitcases clattered past. The dog cut diagonally to give them room. Noah, not watching, clipped the leash with his shoe. The dog pivoted, calm, precise, and avoided him. "What are you doing?" he snapped, as if the dog had swerved rudely into his day. "Control your pet." The handler, late 20s, neat ponytail, windbreaker over a t-shirt that said, "Seattle Marathon." Volunteer. Didn't apologize. "He's working," she said, quiet but firm. "We're good." Something hot and sour rose under Noah's ribs. He'd had a day. An investor breakfast that turned into a lecture. A father who measured him in balance sheets. A voicemail from a woman who'd learned his last name and changed the tone. And now a dog in his lobby wouldn't move like furniture. He flicked his shoe out, a sharp little kick toward the dog's shoulder. Not a full strike, a warning. The dog didn't yelp, just blocked. Angled his body between shoe and handler, weight low, eyes still up. "Hey," the handler said, stepping back. "Don't touch my dog." Noah raised his hands in the universal mime for what? "Keep it out of the walkway if you don't want it bumped." A bellhop froze. The concierge went still. Conversations turned into fake coughs. The dog remained a statue with a heartbeat. "Sir," the concierge tried. "He's a—" "What are we doing?" Noah said louder, as if volume were permission. "Letting animals—" "That's a service dog, Mr. Pierce." The voice came from behind the desk where Mara Quinn, the duty manager, had already started walking. She didn't smile. Noah rolled his eyes. "Everyone's got a vest now." Mara's gaze flicked to the handler. "Are you okay?" "I am," the woman said, breath steady. "He is too." She looked at Noah with the kind of calm that isn't a weapon because it doesn't have to be. "Please don't do that again." Noah opened his mouth for something cutting, and the dog did the first dramatic thing he'd done since the elevator opened. He leaned hard into the woman's thigh, pressed his nose to her stomach, and whined once, very soft. The handler's hand went to the dog's head automatically. "I'm okay," she said, but her voice had shifted, a frequency you only hear if you live with alarms. She closed her eyes for a beat. "He's telling me I need to sit." Mara pointed to a quiet sofa behind a potted tree. "Let's get you there." They moved as if the carpet had turned to glass. The woman sat. The retriever planted, front paws on her shoes, eyes on her face. He wasn't guarding, he was anchoring, a behavior trained for people whose bodies send storms without warning. "Water?" Mara asked. "Please," the woman said, and then to Noah. "He alerts to the start of complex partial seizures. I don't drop to the floor, I just go away for a while if I ignore it. He's telling me not to." Noah's clever line died on the way out. He'd been a jerk to dogs before. None of them had ever spoken through their bodies like a person asking not to drown. The woman took a few slow breaths. The dog's pressure made a weight that keeps you from tipping. Color returned to her face by degrees. "I'm Tess Walters," she said when the water arrived. "This is Bixby." Mara handed Tess the glass and a folded hand towel. "I'm Mara. We've got you. Do you need us to call someone?" Tess shook her head. "I'll be all right. He caught it early. I need 10 minutes and a quiet place. Noah stood where he was, as if moving would make the scene end, the way children believe closing their eyes will erase their mistakes. Mr. Pierce, Mara said without looking at him, I'll need you to step aside so we can do our jobs. It was the way she said jobs, plural, equal, that pricked the balloon of his day. I didn't know, he muttered, which was true and not enough. You didn't ask, Mara said, which was also true. 5 minutes later, Tess's breathing had evened out. She scratched Bixby's ear in that absent-minded way people have when they're paying attention to their own insides. It's passing, she said. He was right. Mara crouched. Do you want a private room to rest? I can comp a conference space for... Tess smiled. I have a room here. We just came down for coffee. I'll go up once the fog lifts. The elevator chimed. A middle-aged couple stepped out, blinked at the cluster, and beelined for Tess like they'd been tracking her signal. Honey, the woman asked, breathless. We saw the text. You okay? Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad, Tess said, sheepish now. Bix beat it. I'm fine. They hugged in that awkward way you do when there's a dog in the way and the dog is the point. Tess's dad shook Mara's hand with gratitude he didn't try to make pretty. Bixby glanced at Noah and then dismissed him, which hurt more than anger would have. Noah backed away because staying hurt too. He found the bar, asked for a scotch he didn't want, and stared at the mirror until his own face blinked first. Behind him, the lobby remembered how to breathe. He could have left it there, another mess rich men step around. Instead, for reasons he couldn't name yet, he went back to the front desk. Mara, he said, and hated how close his voice sounded to an apology that wasn't formed yet. What do I do now? Listen, she said, then fix what you can fix. How? She nodded at the concierge desk computer. Start smaller than the world. We host a service dog conference next month. You can pay for their meeting rooms and coffee so they don't have to prove they belong at our tables. He blinked. That's a thing. It is, she said. And maybe, just maybe, ask Tess if she'll let you apologize like a person. He found her again by accident in the cafe an hour later. No thundercloud, just a woman with a book and a dog who had moved from anchor to rug. He stood at the threshold and practiced not being the loudest thing in the room. Tess, he said. She looked up. Bixby didn't. Yes? I was awful, he said, feeling the insufficiency of the word. If there's a list of what not to do around a service dog, I checked boxes in Sharpie. I'm sorry. She watched him for a beat. Thank you for saying it, she said. Bix isn't fragile. I am sometimes. He keeps me between the lines. I'd like to help, Noah said, because money is the only tool some men know and sometimes it's the right one. If you'll let me. Help who? She asked. Not you, he said quickly. Unless you ask. Help your program, the people who train dogs like Bix, the patients who can't afford one. Her mouth softened. That program saved my life twice. Once when they matched me, and again when they trained my parents to trust him. They have a wait list a year long. Not if I can help it, he said, and for once the sentence didn't feel like a boast, just a door he could hold open. Over the next week, the Granvilles' social feeds looked different. Gone were the silent piano videos and the polished wine glasses. In their place, a post written by Noah that started with the sentence, I was wrong in my own lobby. He explained, without excuses, what he'd done and what he'd learned from Tess and Bixby. He announced a $500,000 grant to the training non-profit, funding 10 full placements and travel for families to learn. He added that the Granville would host the national conference free, with staff trained in ADA basics and Do Not Distract signs posted, because the world gets easier when rules are visible.
The internet did what it does. Some clapped, some sneered. Tess read it and sent one line. "Make sure the money actually moves."
He replied with receipts. On a Saturday afternoon, 2 months later, the Granville's ballroom didn't look like a gala. It looked like work. Labs and shepherds and Goldens moved like punctuation beside people who breathed easier because of them. Workshops on task training, public access, flare alerts, diabetic lows, PTSD interruption. The coffee flowed. The carpet got covered in short fur that vacuumed like confetti. Noah stood at the back with a name badge that didn't mention Heir. He poured water when the pitchers emptied. He held doors. He learned to say, "May I greet your dog?" and learned to accept, "Not today," without flinching. He watched Bixby step in front of Tess when the lights flickered, just for a beat, just enough. In the closing session, the non-profit director invited Tess to speak. She wasn't a practiced public voice. She was better. "I used to count the ways I might disappear," she said. "Now I count my dog's breaths when the room tilts, and I stay." People see a vest and invent stories. Here's mine. A stranger kicked my dog once. Then he funded 10 teams like ours. She looked at Noah. He didn't drop his eyes. "I'm not thanking money," she said. "I'm thanking change." After, as people drifted toward elevators and nap time, Lila, the concierge who'd frozen that first day and has a life outside the desk, brought Tess a small envelope. "From a guest," she said. "He asked me to wait until the conference was over." Inside, a handwritten note. "I didn't deserve your patience. Your dog gave it anyway. If you'll have me, I'd like to keep paying for placements in your name. Quietly. N." Tess tucked it away. "Tell him yes," she said. Bixby sighed and put his head on her shoe the way he always did when the noise turned into a good kind. Noah, across the room, held a door long after everyone had walked through, which is a silly thing, unless you've spent your whole life believing doors open themselves. Sometimes the twist isn't in the reveal, it's in the repair. A man who thought halls were his learning, they're everyone's. A dog who never raised his voice, teaching a lobby how to listen. A handler who didn't have to forgive to change a life and did anyway. If this story gave you a reason to breathe, like and share it. Subscribe to Next Kindness, where the next thing that happens is grace.